Florida School District requires warning labels for LGBTQ plus books. After the conservative group known as Florida Citizens Alliance offered a list of books they wanted banned from Collier County school libraries for LGBTQ plus content, warning labels were advised to those books advising parents. The labels read, quote, "The advisory notice shall serve to inform you that this book has been identified by some community members as unsuitable for students. This book will also be identified in the Destiny system with the same notation. The decision as to whether this book is suitable or unsuitable shall be the decision of the parents who has the right to oversee his or her child's education consistent with state law," end quote. The labels were added as a compromise that allows the schools to still carry the books while also preventing the school from being able to be sued under the newly implemented Don't Say Gay law. Collier County's public school spokesperson Chad Oliver said in an email to NBC News, quote, "Based upon advice from the General Counsel, we placed advisory notices on books about which parents and community members had expressed concern and in accordance with the recently passed Parents' Bill of Rights law, HB 241, end quote.
One of the books that has this warning, Maya Angelou.
I know, right?
I know why the cage bird sings. Really?
I mean, really, right.
Really?
Angela.
You know, and it sends this message, right, that the queer community is something that needs an advisory label, that we are something that is inappropriate for children, that we're something that needs to be hidden behind warnings and behind, parental guidelines, warning symbols. It's absolutely ridiculous.
You're too young to remember this, but this reminds me of being serious. 1988, when Tipper Gore, the wife of future vice president and a solid Democrat, came out and said we need to put labels on music. Was it all music?
Right.
No. It was black music. It was rap. It was Two Live Crew.
Yep.
And I also harken back. Sorry to be the retro guy today, but. This kind of reminds me, in this environment, it kind of reminds me of Don't Ask, Don't Tell. It's kind of a win for us because these books, unlike another county up by Tallahassee, just kicked them out, sent them down here to the Stonewall Museum. So we're still sort of winning, but it's still very, very insulting. And I think that Bible and religious books should also have this label because they have been identified by some community members as unsuitable for students, and I would support that.
Yeah, for clarification, because we continue to say Collier County. Collier County is Naples on the west coast of Florida. And if it makes any difference in our conversation, with the exception of an island of a portion of St. Petersburg and Pinellas County and Hillsborough County, which are very blue, most completely the west coast of Florida is solid red. Yep. And Naples being the southernmost portion of the west coast of Florida. That's the area that we're talking about. Do we think that this kind of move, as opposed to Tallahassee, Leon County, by the way, your reference is to the capital of Florida, scary. Do you think that this kind of labeling is going to be a trend that we'll see more of, or it's going to be Tallahassee, Leon County?
I think it's going to be more Tallahassee, Leon County. I bet we'll have labels in Broward just to make parents stop suing. Yeah. Just to say, okay, we'll do this.
Saying you're saying again that it's a quote unquote good thing.
No, I'm not saying it's a good thing. I'm saying that's what I think will happen. That's what I think will happen to Broward.
It's a rather have.
Yeah.
As opposed to not have.
Right. Yeah. Rather have by good. I mean rather have than complete excommunication of the
It's kind of like we would rather have a sticker on the drag queen's forehead going, this is potentially
right. I'm about to twerk.
Max, I'm curious. You were so involved in the Don't Say Gay issue. We currently are in the L column on it, and the law's been implemented, and likely it's going to get worse. Still, where do you think this is all going? What do you, from your advocacy for our youth organization, where do you see this going?
This has the potential to spread. I agree with John that this is definitely a compromise that at least allows us to have these books. Obviously, we don't appreciate, again, needing warning labels on our community, but it at least means we can have these books, in an accessible way. But I think that this definitely has the potential to spread, and it does send a really unfortunate message. But I'm glad that at least those books are still allowed to be accessible.
One last question before we move on. How do you think students in Collier County, from I know you're not in Collier, and PRISM doesn't represent generally in Collier County, But if you're LGBTQ and you're a teenager in Collier County and you pick up a book that has content about your authentic existence being LGBTQ, what's your reaction of how you would feel about that? If you're reading a book that has an advisory notice that says there's been objection.
It feels explicitly taboo at that point. I mean, when you're young and you pick up something with like a parental advisory on a CD, that immediately feels taboo. It makes rap and black music feel taboo, and again it sends that signal. So that is extremely harmful, and sort of the perception that we have of the LGBT community as a whole.
It might also attract some people
That's right, it's very
because it's
appealing.
a taboo
It's
thing.
appealing.
There's also going to be other people
Yeah.
that are like, I didn't know if I was, but why not? Let me pick up this publication and see if.
Yeah, NWA made one of their CD labels just the parental advisory label back in the day, and it went platinum.
Yeah,
Right.
except
Great appeal.
except we're dealing with teenagers, where Trevor Project has told us the bullying nature that gets created against LGBT is life-threatening. So while there may be marketing benefit, and I completely agree with what you just said, it on balance doesn't outweigh the life-threatening issue that this is at play. And one other thing that pops into my mind, last thought, Max makes the joke about his handle of vote bitches. I keep wondering to myself, we do stories like this and stories like this and stories like this, what is going to be the linchpin to get our community to change it? And the only way you can change it is by voting. Bitching doesn't do it, period.
Vote bitching does.
Right.
LGBTQ plus news is vital for our community and for the broader world as a whole. We have enough enemies at Fox News. Tucker, Sean, and Laura are loud. We need passionate allies. Happening Out Television Network, Queer News Tonight, and It's Happening Out are literally out of the closet and into the headlines. Our community needs your support. Like this broadcast and subscribe now to ensure the growth of the entire LGBTQ plus community.